Hey friends, I'm Teresa Morris, and welcome to Friends Talking Education. Please leave a rating for Friends Talking Education on the platform you are listening on, and don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. Today's episode is ESE. My disability does not define my ability to learn. Friends, today we have with us Dr. Kanteasa Rowell. Dr. Rowell's most rewarding title is Mother, earning specific learning disability and varying exceptionalities degrees from the University of South Florida and Nova Southeastern University, respectively. Dr. Rowell's knowledge and expertise is supported by 20 plus years in instructional and administrative roles. Welcome, Kanteasa, to Friends Talking Education. What initiated your love for learning and education?
For me, learning has always been easy, fun, came with very little effort, so much so to that a naive misconception during my teen years was that learning was easy for everyone. As early as elementary school, I had a passion for playing school, and I was excited about becoming a teacher.
So you knew from early elementary that you wanted to be a teacher?
Yes, I knew from early elementary that I wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know what grade level, didn't know what subject I'd end up teaching, but I knew that I wanted to teach somebody and some people.
We are talking about ESE, the Exceptional Student Education. What exactly is ESE, and how does a student become qualified for services?
ESE stands for Exceptional Student Education, and the purpose of ESE is to help each child with a disability progress in school and prepare for life after school. ESE services include specially designed instruction to meet the unique needs of the child. This is designed to ensure the achievement of each individual by expanding opportunities through collaboration with the families, different professionals, and communities who guarantee the highest expectations and individual success. And how does one qualify for the services? Prior to being referred to ESE services, typically a student goes through response to intervention. Some people call it RTI or multi-tiered system of support. Some people refer to it as MTSS, all of which is implemented by the general education team. And what the RTI and MTSS process looks like, it differs from state to state, district to district, as well as school to school, because they pretty much set their own parameters on what works for their schools on these type intervention programs. There's varying levels of support and interventions attempted by the gen ed team to bridge the gap in students prior to referring the students to the ESE team for formal evaluations to determine if they qualify for ESE services. The criteria for being identified for ESE as a brief response is to either display an academic, intellectual deficit, medical health impairment, it could be a speech deficit, physical impairment, or even an emotional or behavior disturbance of some sort. And it's all identified through a thorough evaluation process, including at minimum a hearing screening, vision screening, psychological evaluation, social developmental history. But other areas can be assessed and are assessed based on the unique needs of the individual and the expected disability that the team sense that the student may display.
I love the fact that you said the student can meet the highest expectation and have success, because students that are ESE, their disability does not define their ability to learn.
Absolutely. Oftentimes, individuals forget Exceptional student education is a huge umbrella that ranges from one end of the spectrum to the other, keeping in mind that gifted is also a portion of exceptional student education. And we all know that gifted and talented are very high functioning.
So, Kanteasa, tell us, what are some of the most important things you want a classroom teacher to know, a parent to know, and a student to know about the services of ESE?
All of those individuals, classroom teacher, parent, student, they're all part of a student's IEP team. Keeping the lines of communication open, everyone should be on the same page. And they all should know that the services are uniquely designed based on the unique needs of each student or each individual. Know that an individualized education plan, which we refer to as an IEP, is a fluid document that can be revised at any time, but minimally once a year. Know that a reevaluation takes place as required, but at minimum once every 3 years. The educational process, it's a team effort in assisting each child in reaching their goals, bridging the gap, reaching their fullest potential. But the most important thing is keeping open lines of communication is key. And once that communication gap is closed, the student improves, but once the communication gap widens, the opposite tends to happen.
And what are the realistic expectations of a classroom teacher?
Classroom teachers, oftentimes, if it's a gen ed teacher, they may fear having a student with a disability in their class because of the misconceptions that they've been told, the rumors that they've heard, and just fear of not having the abilities to teach the child. So realistic expectations would be to hold a student with a disability accountable for making progress towards mastery of their IEP goals. IEP goals are not synonymous to grade level standards, so keep that in mind. If a student is performing 2 grade levels below, a student may not master their grade level standard. It is definitely realistic to expose students and make certain they have access to grade level content, but being realistic in knowing that the student may not have the ability to complete as many math equations or perform grade level reading comprehension or even remain on task for as long as their grade level peers.
And so they are working toward mastery of their IEP goals. When it comes to access points, do the goals of the IEP take precedent?
Excellent question. Very good question. While both are very important, an IEP is a federal legal document that supersedes state standards. Access points are alternate achievement standards built to target the most important standards of the Florida standards. So the goal of the access point is to allow fluid movement as a student competency increases. But the goal of an IEP, which is the federal document, is to bridge the gap to allow students to access and master the state standards and to reach his or her fullest potential. Both are important components of the learning process.
And how does a teacher translate the access point curriculum in their classroom? And what does it look like in a real life moving class?
Another excellent question. Keep in mind that the access points have already been created or revised to be implemented just as that, just as they are. It is the intention that all of the access points will be facilitated because they've already looked at the totality of the standards and picked out the most important parts. That is where the access points are derived.
Now, is there data to show that the accommodations provided help students become ready to go into the real world?
This is a really broad one, but it would depend on one's definition of real world. Say, for instance, for fact, an accommodation changes how a student learns the material. A modification changes what a student is taught or expected to learn. And oftentimes the two are used interchangeably but they are not the same. A modification used inappropriately as an accommodation could potentially negatively affect a student's ability to graduate. And there have been numerous research studies conducted on the effectiveness of accommodations, but there are mixed thoughts as well as mixed opinions on the effect of accommodations to real-world preparation. Personally, I am certainly an advocate of accommodations in both the educational setting and real life. We must remember some disabilities are not visible to the naked eye. And if an accommodation allowed a student to master standards, and as a result, the student was accepted into a post-high school setting of his or her choice, be it student wanted to attend a university, the student wanted to attend a technical college, or the student was successful in securing a position in the workforce, one should assume the accommodations had a positive effect in preparing the student for the real world. And on the same token, if an accommodation allows an individual to physically participate in adult day-to-day activities, then again, the accommodation helps the individual to be ready for the real world.
I see. Now, what would you tell parents that say, as a parent, I am frustrated with the school because my child is frustrated with school. My child learns differently. Why can't they help my child?
I would first empathize with the parent, ask the parent to contact the school counselor, and express specific concerns. Each school, each district has different programs, different interventions, different district policies that they implement in these type instances. A contingent upon the severity of what the parents are noticing, I may suggest the parent request an educational evaluation of their child through the school. Evaluation is designed to provide specific details on the academic, the social, as well as behavioral deficits. And from that evaluation report, an individualized education plan can be designed to fit the unique learning needs of the student.
Can you provide an instructional strategy that can be easily implemented with students within a classroom?
As much as possible, instructional strategies should be, one, interesting, and number two, relatable. If a student can relate to the lesson, he and she are more inclined to be focused as well as be active in the instruction. I have a favorite strategy for assisting students to read two-syllable words. It's called syllabication method, and the short name for it is SPOT and DOT. It goes like this. The first thing you do, ask students to spot the vowels in a word and place a dot over the vowels. And then secondly, you ask the students to connect the dot. And then thirdly, ask the students to circle the consonants between the dots and divide the consonants. And fourth and lastly, have the students to sound out each syllable. This works like clockwork. I'm going to, like 95% of the time.
That is interesting.
And not only that, and it's really fun for the students. They like to do that. Oftentimes I have them to do it on the small whiteboards or even come to the board to do it. It breaks the monotony of the classroom students sitting there and listening to lectures or the dependent lessons. It's really fun and they enjoy it.
Oh, that is great. I think I'll try that in my classroom.
Please do.
How do you translate your love of learning to others?
Having a passion and excitement for learning is evident in those who possess the trait. And an adage that I often reference is, if you are interested, you will do what's convenient. If you are committed, you will do whatever it takes. I want others to view learning and education as treasure maps, the treasure maps leading to the goal. And one thing I've always had the ability to do is to create a sense of urgency. And to do that, I start with the end in mind. Ask an individual about their goals and then assist them in creating an educational roadmap to accomplish those goals.
Nice. Well, Kanteasa, thank you so much for joining me here on Friends Talking Education.
You are very welcome, and it has definitely been a pleasure.
And remember to remain RTL, ready to learn, love, and live life. Talk with you again soon, friend.